Mackay, that old television series, Fantasy Island, popular back in the 1980s. That show was set on an island where strange things happen. People have to learn important lessons about themselves. Our show today, The Tempest, is also set on a fantasy island where strange things happen and people have to learn important lessons about themselves. Our main character, Prospero, comes to this island after having been abandoned at sea. He was once the Duke of Milan, but had lost his dukedom to his brother, his usurping brother, who then put him on a raft with his daughter Miranda and cast him out to sea to die. He survives only because his good friend Gonzalo has given him enough food and water and his books of magic to take with him, so that when he arrives at this deserted island, his powers are so strong, he's able to command the spirits that live there and control the one human creature he finds, Caliban. Shakespeare loved the supernatural. Witches and sorcerers, spirits and ghosts appear in many of his plays. And one of the reasons he loved them is because people loved him back then. I guess pretty much the same as now, right? Twilight, Team Edward, Team Jacob. I mean, people are crazy now about that stuff. And they were back then. But we don't remember William Shakespeare today because he was a great businessman. We read his plays, we come see his plays performed because of the stories that he told and the lessons that those stories would teach us. In The Tempest, we get to see inside the human heart. Prospero unexpectedly gets the opportunity to take revenge against those who would have destroyed him. And what will he do? Will he use his great powers and crush them? Or somehow will he find inside himself the ability and the willingness to forgive? And so I say again to you, welcome to Fantasy Island and our production of The Tempest.
You have put these wild waters in this roar, allay them! Oh, I have suffered with those that I saw suffer. A brave vessel who no doubt had some noble creature in her, dashed all to pieces. Their cries could knock against my very heart. Those poor souls, they perish.
Be collected. No more amazement. Tell your piteous heart there is no harm done.
Woe the day.
No harm. I have done nothing but in care of thee. Of thee, my dear one, my daughter, who art ignorant of what thou art, and not knowing of whence I am, nor that I am more better than Prospero, master of a full porcel, and thy no greater father.
Mortino did never meddle with my thoughts.
With his time I should inform thee further. Wipe thou thine eyes, have comfort. The direful spectacle of the wreck which touched the very virtue of compassion in thee, I have, with such provision in mine art, so safely ordered that there is no soul, no, not so much as a petition of a hair be tied to any creature in the vessel which thou heardst cry, which thou sawest sink. Sit down, for thou must now know further.
You've often begun to tell me of what I am, but stop, and left me in bootless inquisition, concluding stay or not yet.
The hour is now come, the very minute bids, ope thine ear, obey and be attentive. Canst thou remember the time before we came unto this isle? I do not think so, for thou wast not out 3 years old.
Certainly, sir, I can.
By what? By any other house or person?
He is far off, and rather like a dream than a remembrance. But didn't I once have 4 or 5 women tend to me?
Thou hast, and more, Miranda. 12 years since, Miranda, thy father was the Duke of Milan and a Pietropaolo.
Sir, not you, my father.
Thy mother was a piece of virtue, and she said thou wast my daughter, and thy father was the Duke of Milan, and his only heir and princess no less is you.
Oh, the heavens. Wherefore came from them hence, or blessed was it we did?
Both. Both, my girl, my brother and thy uncle called Antonio. The government I cast upon my brother, and to my state grew stranger, being transported and wrapped in secret studies. Thy false uncle, dost thou attend me?
Sir, most easily.
I, thus neglecting worldly ends, all dedicated to closeness in the bettering of my mind, he thus being lauded made such a sinner of his memory that he believed that he indeed was the Duke. Dost thou hear me? My dukedom was, my library was large enough, and now he thinks me incapable.
Oh, the heavens.
Mark his condition and the event, then tell me if this might be a brother.
I should sin to think so nobly of my grandmother. Good wounds have borne bad sons.
Now the condition. This king of Naples, being an enemy, hearkens my brother's suit, and with all the honors on my brother, whereon a treacherous army levied, one midnight, fated to this purpose, did Antonio open the gates of Milan. And in the dead of darkness, the ministers of this purpose hurried thence me and thy crying self.
Alas, for pity. I not remembering how I cried out then will cry it over again. The hint that brings my eyes to do it.
Hear a little further.
Wherefore did they not that hour destroy us?
Well demanded, daughter. My tale provokes that question. Dear they us not. So dear the love my people bore me. They hurried us aboard a bark, bored us some leagues to sea, whose pity sighing back again did us loving wrong.
What trouble was I then to you?
Oh, a cherubim. It was thou that preserves me. Thou didst smile.
How came we ashore?
By providence divine. Some food we had and some fresh water that a noble Neapolitan, Gonzalo, out of his charity, who being appointed the master of this design, did give us, with rich garments and linens, which have steadied us much since, but so of his gentleness, knowing I loved my books, he furnished me from my library with volumes that I prize above my dukedom.
Would I might but ever see this man.
Sit still and hear the last of our sorrows. Here in this island we arrived, and here I, thy schoolmaster, made thee more profit than any other princesses can, that have more time for vainer hours, or tutors not so careful.
And heaven thank you for it. But, sir, for it's still beating my mind your reason for raising the sea storm.
Know this far forth. By accident most strange, bountiful fortune, now, my dear lady, hath mine enemies brought to the shore. Cease now more questions. Thou art inclined to sleep. 'Tis a good dullness, and give it way. I know thou canst not resist. Come away, servant, come. Elio, come. I am ready.
Oh, hail, great master! I've come to answer thy best pleasure, be it to fly, to swim, to dive into the fire, to ride the curled clouds. Do thy strong bidding. Ask Ariel and all her qualities.
Hast thou spirit performed to the tempest that I bade thee?
To every article. I boarded the king's ship. In every cabin I flamed amazement. Sometimes I divide and burn in many places at once. There I burn distinctly, then meat and joy. Oh, the fire and crack of sulphurous roaring has moved mighty Neptune into the deep, and make his bold waves tremble and his trident shake.
My brave spirit, who was so firm, so constant that this coil could not affect their reason.
Not a soul but felt. A fever of the mad. Played some tricks of desperation. All but mariners plunged into the foaming brine and quit the vessel. Ferdinand, the king's son, was the first man who leaped and cried, "Hell is empty and all devils are here."
But, my spirit, are they safe?
Not a hair perished. Of their sustaining garments, not a blemish. In troops I have dispersed them about the isle. The king's son I have landed by himself.
And of the king's ship